I want to call this meeting of the Village Council for the Village of Corrales to order. Please put your phones on vibrate or turn them off, and then join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilor Miera.
Aquí.
Councilor Woolman.
Here.
Councilor Knight.
Here.
Councilor Alsabrook.
Here.
Councilor Burkett.
Here.
Councilor Murray.
Here.
Everybody's here. So on the agenda, Amy Bell is not going to give an update report, so she's canceled. Any other changes that you're aware of, Melanie?
No, that's the only one.
Okay. All right. So I need a motion to approve the agenda with that change.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we'll move on to approval of appointments. Does anybody have an issue with a motion that covers them all? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, Mayor, I would like to, is Mr. Roque and Ms. Chappelle here? Okay, is Mr. Roque here?
Mr. Roque, did you let him know? Melanie? Okay.
If that's the case, I would like to have Mr. Roque's application moved to May 27th because I have questions.
So you have a motion to move John Michael Roque's application to May 27th?
Yes, because I have questions I need to ask him in person.
Okay. Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
So you have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by no.
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 Okay. Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
No.
Councilor Alsabrook?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
No.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's 4-2. Okay, so we'll move him to the 27th. And did you have something you wanted to ask Ms. Chappelle?
Yes, please, if you don't mind. Ms. Chappelle, if you would.
Ms. Chappelle, could you step up here, please? Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, this is going to be a test.
Great, right.
Well, the reason I want to ask you these questions because the Planning and Zoning Commission is probably the next most important commission as to the council. Because a lot of the folks come up through the council usually come through P and Z, but I want your opinions on a couple items that since you just went through the comp plan, what's your opinion about the density of the village? Do you support gross acreage or net acreage for lot line?
Okay, before you answer that, let me just say something. I think that's an incorrect way to approach this. That's like a litmus test, and I don't agree with that at all.
Well, Mayor, I have the floor. You granted me the floor and I would.
No, I'm the mayor and I'm just
No,
making a
Mayor,
comment.
you granted me the floor. I have the floor and I need to ask her these questions. I just want to know her opinion about something like density. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think my opinion is somewhat irrelevant because I have to follow the ordinances for what they say, not just what I think they should say, but what
Okay.
they do say. I mean, if you want my personal opinion, that's something different.
Do you always follow the ordinances?
I try to.
Okay. Did you discuss transferable development rights at the comprehensive plan?
Yes, we did.
And what was your opinion of that particular item on the comp plan?
Until it was explained, it didn't sound right to me. Once it was explained, I'm not sure it will still work, but it made sense then.
Okay.
Okay,
How many years?
time to move on.
No, Mayor, I still
Time
have,
to move on.
Mayor, I have the floor.
It's time to move on,
Mayor,
sir.
I have the floor and I have not yielded the floor.
I need a judgment from an attorney.
I do think it's reasonable to not ask a member of P and Z perspective or standing positions on particular things before the council. I agree with the mayor.
Okay, let me ask you this. Robert's Rules of Order say that if I have the floor, I will not, and I haven't yielded the floor, I still have the floor.
Robert's Rules of Order is not the only, there are not the only rules applicable. If you
We
were to
don't
pull a
have-
gun out to say, I have the floor, I can do this, you wouldn't be able to do
Okay.
that. So Robert's Rules of Order are not don't resolve the issue entirely.
they are when they don't have it stipulated in our ordinances. Anyway, okay, I will yield the floor, and Ms. Chappelle, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pell.
No more questions?
Okay, on the remaining, so on Ms. Chappelle, do I have a motion to approve or
I approve, I.
move to approve?
motion
Do I have a
to
second?
approve.
Second. Yep.
So we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No,
How about the remaining three? Can we vote for those since those are reappointments? Oh, excuse me, there's one that's an appointment, brand new. Do I have a motion to approve the remaining three?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay. Presentation's been canceled. We'll move to administrator's report.
Mayor, if I may, do we have a date as to when Ms. Bell might do her presentation?
Did she give us a date?
No, she has not given us a date. So she met with the Concerned Citizens Group last week and they did not make it through the entire agenda. So she did not feel it was appropriate to come in and make that presentation until that meeting had reached its conclusion. So she needs to reach out to that group and convene another meeting. So once that meeting happens, we'll get her back on the agenda.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Council. Administrator.
Tanya.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Administrator Curry. So let's start off with COVID levels. They seem to still be holding pretty low. New Mexico has 8 cases per 100,000 that are diagnosed via lab tests. Hospitalization is 1 per 100,000, which is really a low number. I'd like it to be 0. And positivity is 3% in New Mexico. For the US, we are at a 2.9% positivity, down from last week at 3.3. ED visits to the United States still are holding steady at 0.4% of all ED visits being related to COVID. Hospitalizations for the US is 1.3 per 100,000, and that is down from 1.4 last week. Deaths are still holding steady with 0.6% of all deaths last time they updated being caused by COVID. New Mexico wastewater is staying flat. We have a few areas that may be showing a slight increase, but nothing dramatic at this time. Measles is the big one. We now have 71 cases in New Mexico, 5 counties. Out of those 71 cases, we've had 7 hospitalizations and 1 death. In the US, we are at 1,001 measles cases, with 11 states currently having an outbreak, which means 3 or more cases linked together. There is low levels of influenza A in New Mexico wastewater, and there is no H5 been found in New Mexico wastewater as of today. And then we need to start talking about and thinking about mosquitoes, as we're going to be going into mosquito season with mosquito-borne illness. So make sure with the rain we've had, dump your pots out. Don't let them become mosquito areas. If you have rain buckets, either use some sort of something to keep the mosquitoes out, like a screen. I happen to put fish in mine and I feed them when there's not mosquitoes, and it keeps the mosquitoes down. I'll be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. I'd like to ask Steve Liskew to come up and give a quick update on Upper and Lower Meadowlark and piping on Upper Meadowlark.
Mayor, Council, Administrator Curry, Upper Meadowlark, they should have basically the curb and gutter done by the end of the week. They'll still have some tie-ins and some handwork for driveways. They're gonna start the paving the path. I'm not sure which day next week. They've already started getting densities at the bottom and putting in base course. Lower Meadowlark is supposed to start on the 22nd. I still think that's gonna take 3 to 4 weeks. Could go a little bit sooner, you know, if there's not any problems. And they're about a third of the way done with the fog seal on Loma Larga, but they say they should be done by the end of the week. I haven't got a date to stripe and finish that project up. Any questions?
Councilor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. So how big an issue is it of intruders trying to work their way around the barricades and down through the project?
We have a meeting there tomorrow morning. We have one every week at 9 o'clock. So what I was gonna suggest, if they can finish the curb by Friday, that maybe starting Monday, if the contractor's okay with it, we could just shut it down during working hours and open it up before and after. So maybe shut it down at 7 in the morning and open it up like at 3 or 3:30. But even if they pour on Friday, it'll still take a couple days, take the weekend for that curb to set up, just in case somebody hits it, it wouldn't crack or.
So are you anticipating Lower Metal Arc as well to be totally closed off except for the residents who live there?
Yes, that's gonna be totally closed off as well.
And has the police been able to help you out with?
Oh,
the-
they've helped out immensely. They've definitely helped out. That's when that project first started, people just ignored it blatantly. Now you get a handful of people at best, so they definitely keep away, and it helps speed up the process too.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Waldman, did you have a question?
No, it was answered.
Councilor
Thank-
Knight?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Hi, Steve. I was wondering, are they gonna put retaining walls up on the upper north side before, to be completed?
Yeah, we're gonna put retaining walls. We just kind of wanted to see where we're gonna end up, because we're gonna go to the height of back of curb. It'll only be 4 foot wide in that last section towards the top. And then we will put some kind of retainer in, whether it's a stack block or something, but it was hard to tell exactly where we're gonna wind up. And then we didn't wanna, if we were gonna put a big like gabion wall, we would have had to over excavate, and then we would have gone way into that hill, and we didn't want to do that.
So we're not using gabions.
Not on that project.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. So we'll move on to Coriolanus Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or a concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker.
First up is Tyler Muxworthy. Tyler, if you could please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
Sure, yes. But you better hurry because you're losing time.
Yes, I will not be getting through. Would you be comfortable passing this down?
You bet.
We need one for the.
Tyler Muxworthy?
Oh,
Go ahead. Okay. My name is Tyler Muxworthy. I'm here to ask the Village of Cross to pave Pereira Road and Laura Lane so that our health and safety can be improved. An IMPA request revealed that in the last 5 years, more than 10 roads have been paved and 0 requests have been denied. These points below are a very short summary of this situation and request. Sometime in 2011, a property owner tried to pave Pereira Road and Laura Lane on his own accord using his own funds. This action was taken to court by a property owner who was against this paving and the Village of Corrales. In 2013, false information provided to the plaintiff by the plaintiffs convinced the judge to rule that the Pereira Road was a public road owned by Corrales. With mixed stories from each neighbor, I began my research on the topic. Lori Stout was a tremendous help in this process. Ultimately, it was determined that the Village of Corrales had no record of Pereira Road east of the Acequia being a public road. In fact, it still showed that the owners of the first 2 parcels on the north side of Pereira Road were owned the land that Pereira Road ran on. At this time, one of the original plaintiffs against having the road paved went to the county and provided the lawsuit documentation and told them to record Pereira Road as a public road. Lori Stout needed to correct the situation, so she began the process of getting the current parcel owners to give a portion of their legally owned land over to Corrales so that it could be incorporated into Corrales and become a public road. This effort was finally accomplished in December of 2024, 11 years after the lawsuit. On the next page, so in your pamphlets on page 4, there's a map of all the houses that either touch the road in question or use Pereira Road or Laura Lane to get to their homes. I have taken it upon myself to walk to each neighbor and ask if they are in favor of paving or leaving the road dirt. The results are documented on my petition and on the map for a better visual understanding. Of 22 houses asked, 14 of the houses want the road paved. 4 do not or are divided homes, and 4 are undecided or could not be reached. Houses with gold stars represent people who have actively purchased materials to place on the road or purchased a tractor and put forth the effort to keep the road maintained. Most of the homeowners want the road paved. All neighbors agree that no matter what, we need to address speeding, drainage, and safety concerns. The last one is the one that hits home for me. As an environmental scientist who worked with the New Mexico Environment Department and City of Albuquerque air quality programs, I can honestly say that I have researched and captured the negative health effects of particulate matter pollution created by dirt roads. I have personally set up monitoring stations for this specific reason. While many in Corrales are quick to point at Intel as a major contributor to our health concerns, they neglect to look at what is happening right in front of them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, up next is Patty Carroll. Patty, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
My name is Patty Carroll. Do I have to give my address?
Are you here for CEAC? Okay, that's good.
Mr. Mayor, council people, I'm just wanting to say my sincere thanks for the support that we get from the Village of Corrales. We participated in the Ride, Strides, and Giddy Up for the Viva Corrales, and we had so much nice collaboration with the fire department and their support, and they brought this wonderful training horse over so that people could see the emergency training, and we appreciate that. And Main Street was fabulous. They helped us with getting projects done and helped us make our ponies and helped us plan the handouts for the little bags we gave. We made 80 little noodle ponies that we handed out to kids and gave little bags with coloring projects that actually were sort of informative about how to interact bicycles and cars and horses. And so it was coloring and crayons. And I think it was a great success, but we're just really appreciative of the support that we get from Main Street and all of the other wonderful people in Corrales. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is Miss Sabine Schurter. Sabine, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Sabine Schurter, 47 Rincon Road. Good evening, Mayor, councilors. I would like to ask the councilors to separate item 5, approval of resolution 2515 CWSRF 155, assignment of signatory authorities, from today's consent agenda. A village sewer system and its engineering, and the engineering will cost $2 million, are huge decisions which deserve to be thoroughly researched and to be advertised to and discussed by the villagers, as they may be settled with footing the bill that eventually will come their way. This project also has the potential to negate the desires expressed by villagers in the comprehensive plan survey and to promote increased density and further acidification of the village. Maybe a sewer system project will be shown to be necessary, but there may be alternatives like the promotion of healthy septic systems and leach fields. I would like to ask for transparency, researching environmentally, hydrologically, and technically sound solutions, and allow the input of all councilors and villagers before making any decision on a plan for a village sewer system, regardless of its scope. Thank you very much.
So a little out of order here, but for clarification purposes, this Clean Water State Revolving Fund 155, assignment of signatory authorities, is for a grant. It is money that we were given by NMED to do a design and a plan for a sewer system for the entire village, should it ever be necessary in the future. It was supposed to have been done many years ago. I guess you guys remember back 2006, 2008, something like that, when we had all those discussions with Souter Miller. These are funds that we have been given no cost to us. Our PER has already been done. I don't think that's ready for presentation yet, though.
I do believe it is awaiting final approval at the state level, and then it'll come to council.
So this is not a loan. This is a grant, $2 million. This is a plan so it can be shovel ready if in fact funding ever comes available. Yes, sir.
So we'll have opportunity for full discussion and
We can do that. I just
Not
wanted to
now.
clarify it so
Not
that
now,
you guys
but
knew.
I'm saying, when, the time comes to, accept the funds, we'll have an opportunity to have a full discussion on the,
You mean to accept the grant?
Possibility.
That's tonight. It's
Sorry?
on here tonight. It's part of the, that's what she was talking about.
no, I understand that.
Okay,
I'm
you want to
saying-
pull it off? Okay.
Yep.
Number
Okay,
five.
up next on the Corleanos Forum is Fred Hashimoto. Fred, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Fred Hashimoto, 485 East Montrose. Please consider removing from the no discussion consent agenda item I.5, which reads approval of resolution 25-15 CWSRF 155, assignment of signatory authorities. Who could guess what that's all about? It's about the biggest by far project in the history of this village. It's about a $16 million wastewater system project. But I'm not here to talk about the pros and cons of wastewater systems. I'm here to talk about the lack of transparency of administration. The $2 million loan for the design of the system basically commits the village to the project. Okay, here are some questions. 1, does an itemized descriptive budget exist, or just you get $2 million for designs? 2, where is the documentation of the proposed scope of the $16 million project, and where are the conceptual designs for it? 3, did council approve the scope and conceptual designs? 4, where is the $75,000 150-page preliminary engineering report, that's like $500 a page, done by Santec? Have you ever heard of Santec? Well, in the current package, in the council package for this package for the $16 million project, item are 2 basically blank pages. Isn't that pretty damning for lack of transparency? The wastewater page on the village's website gives no hint of project or any documentation. My request is simple. Please remove item I.5 from the consent agenda, distribute Santec's report, have them give a public presentation. After all, they got paid $75,000 for it, and follow up with open discussion in public before anybody gets signatory authority for signing off on loan. And please, let's have some transparency. Thank you.
Up next is Kurt Flora. Mr. Flora, if you'll state your name and address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
Kurt Flora, 28 Huff Road now. I just wanted to talk tonight about we've had a lot of prospective people looking at our property. And I just want to ask the village council and the mayor to follow the rules and the regulations if we do have a buyer that it does buy some of our property. We fought you guys for 5.5 years to get everything done on this property to be set to buy, or for the prospective buyers. I just hope they do not have to go years and years fighting you to build a house on our property. That's, that's going to be unacceptable. Like it took us 5.5 years to settle that. 2, Mr. Murray, he was there earlier in that last meeting. He was a prospective buyer, and he dropped out of even buying the property because of the issues that we went through for 5.5 years. So we lost a prospective buyer because of that. We don't want to lose any more. As for Mr. Murray's comment with Robert's rule, I didn't hear Mr. Tager bring up the other rules that wouldn't allow him to ask the questions that he was asking, because I was interested in what Mr. Murray was asking the new planning and zoning person about. the net versus gross act and all that. I was interested in that. I'm sure a lot of other people that have problems may have been interested in that as well. And, you know, for the mayor to slam his gavel down like he did was very unacceptable in my perspective. That was uncalled for. And, you know, Mr. Murray had the right to ask the questions. Another thing I want to do, you know, the public utilities had a cleanup a couple weeks ago. I just want to thank them for helping me unload my trailers. I brought some pretty big loads to them. We've been cleaning the property up pretty good. We removed cottonwoods. We removed lots of Chinese elm. And the property is looking real good for the new buyers. We spend a lot of time doing this. So I just want appreciation to the utility companies that helped me do that. And, you know, let's just, you know, you have a lot of animosity between us. It needs to go away. And I want our new buyers to feel comfortable and not have to deal with what I dealt with. Because I'm not going anywhere. I still got 3 acres that we're going to see.
Thank you, Mr. Floor.
Okay. Next is Bill Perkins. Bill, if you'll state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Melanie, Mayor, Administrator, and Councilors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I believe that Corrales retains an authentic historic character. I don't mean this in a technical sense, but rather a kind of a genuine old-fashioned charm. And I believe that many people who call Corrales home have a fond regard for the architectural and the landscape character of our village. And it is one thing to allow the name of a building to take on historic designation over time, such as the old church, or to a lesser degree, the old fire station, and to allow it to happen over time. But it is another thing altogether to decree in large, bold letters that a building is the old bank. Some people might think this is funny or a lighthearted joke, but it strikes me that it degrades, even mocks the very qualities that many of us treasure. I appeal to the governing body to reconsider this name and the sign. Let the architecture and the signs express the positive spirit that many of us hold dear. And I appeal to the governing body to communicate with citizens before decisions are finalized and before $2 million of engineering studies are authorized. Thank you.
Mayor, that's everyone for this evening.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Oh, I thought you said 14. Was that 14?
No, we only had
Oh, okay, it's
6.
another group. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. Okay, so we'll move on to council's forum now. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. A council member may respond to an issue or concern brought up by a resident in the preceding Corralinos forum, but to remain in compliance with the Open Meeting Act, the subject will not be up for debate or discussion. Who would like to start? Councilor Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. The other day we had a budget meeting and I didn't feel like I was prepared as I needed to be. So I went back and asked a few of my constituents what they thought was important. So I would like to put in the budget some money for improving the Anderson property, putting down crusher fine and fencing along the south side near the post office. I'd also like to say that I'd like Correa Road paved. Another part, this is something totally different, but I wanted to share with everybody. I went on a Zoom meeting about 2 weeks ago for the New Mexico Department of Agriculture and the New Mexico Coalition of Enhancing Working Lands. And they probably had about 152 people listening on that Zoom meeting. They had representatives from our two senators, from our representatives, and some representatives from Santa Fe who were at this, on the Zoom meeting. And they talked a lot about farming in New Mexico and how to get grants. There's a group in the Navajo area. It's called BB Baby Foods, where they help beginning farmers to learn about what crops would go well and what soils to use. And, you know, people came from all over the state to talk about farming. And I thought it was very enlightening for me. One gentleman talked about vertical hydroponic farming, where he has a 25,000 square foot indoor farm. And he uses, you know, water very efficiently that way. And it just made me feel good about what's happening in our state with farming, and that we all need to be appreciative of people who farm.
Yes. Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So to follow up with my comments earlier, it seems to me that these meetings, we have to conduct them according to the rules of rules of order. If we don't, then we don't have meetings. We will devolve into chaos and so forth. Even though I could not find in our ordinances where it says we do follow the Robert's Rules of Order. That typically most meetings held by public committees and entities, they do follow the Robert's Rules of Order. And I think that that's important. So if somebody's given the floor, Robert's Rules of Order says that he has the right to keep the floor until he relinquishes it. If you notice, if you go up to Congress, people get into what they call, what is it they call? Yeah, the filibuster. And they do not relinquish their right to give that floor up unless they, you know, so desire. So I think it's important, either we need to distinguish that we do follow Robert's Rules of Order, have it written somewhere, and then let's follow it, but just make sure to do. And then to follow up on comment by Commissioner Knight, if we do anything to Anderson property, we need a site plan. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilor Mira.
Thank you. I noticed that we didn't have the report from the village properties on Emmyville. My question was that going to be pursuant to the motion I made some time back on how we have these properties, how they're going to work together as opposed to one here and one there?
Well, that's how it started.
Yeah, and that's what she was going to present?
Well, we'll find out when she presents it.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how it's gone, but
Okay.
I think that's how it started.
That was the question. Okay, thank you.
There's a follow-up to that. There'll be something beyond what she put in our packet, which is September.
I don't know.
Don't know.
I didn't see the agenda that she presented to the group that she talked with.
Okay.
I just saw what you saw in the packet.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. Consent agenda. So we're going to pull off number 5 for Councilor Murray. Any others? Okay, for all, do you have another one you want to pull off?
Well, I mean, the road description, I have to get back up to the top of this, where it's at. Hang on, let me just,
Are you talking about the TPF project?
yes,
Okay, we pull that off.
yeah.
So that's number, which one?
That would be number 4.
4. Okay, so 4 and 5.
Do we have a motion?
Yes. You have a motion to pull those off?
Yes, I'll move that we pull off items 4 and 5 from the consent agenda.
Okay,
Second.
and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. How about the others? The remaining 7. Do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
and a second? All right, now. Okay, well, let's go ahead and there's a resolution. So Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Councilor Murray, can we start with number 4, the TPF project approval?
Yeah, so if you would, Steve, are you?
Steve, are you still here?
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Thank you, Steve. So the drawings that you presented to us with the slopes, is that pre-construction or after construction?
That's the way it exists now, right?
Do you want me to pull up the,
Yeah, because I didn't.
Well, like page 52, I mean,
It's the road that has the bump on it
yeah.
that Michael and,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, that's the way it exists now.
And what's it going to look like afterwards then, after you get through with construction? What's the slope going to be on that road?
It'll have an inverted crown and it'll consistently start from the top down and then feather into each side of Loma Larga. And there's that big drainage on it would be the north side of Loma Larga.
So is there any chance that it could be overwhelmed if we had a good storm, that it might flow over Loma Larga?
I don't believe so. I mean, it did get engineered, so it's shovel ready, and that's why I picked that project. So
I mean, does it meet 100-year requirement or 500-year requirement, or do we?
can't talk for Steve Groman, but I would assume it would meet 100-year flood because most of what he does.
it meets 100-year flood.
Okay.
We don't do 500. I mean, we probably should, but we
Well,
don't.
well, yeah, the way things are going, I mean, it's,
Yes.
you know,
I agree.
I mean, it's,
But even SCAFCA still sticks with 100-year storm.
okay, thank you. That's why I was just curious because when I was looking at the drawings, I didn't know if this was before or after.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry, it's before.
Okay, thank you.
So now
Mayor,
yes, ma'am.
I
Sorry.
think I've seen that the Coronado already, when there's a bad storm, will go out on Loma Larga. So that's why we need this intervention. So.
Thank you. So Councilman Murray, do you want to make a motion now to approve it?
Yes, I move that we approve resolution 24-14 TPF project approval.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay. How do you vote, Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Alsabrook?
Aye.
Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
And Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll move on to Resolution 2515, the Clean Water State Revolving Fund 155, assignment of signatory authorities. Tanya, could you help us with that, please? You were the most excited when we heard about it, so.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilors, Administrator Curry. So this project was brought to you back in 2022, if my memory serves correctly, when you approved the funding and the applications for this funding for both the PER and for the grant for the engineering. We did do an RFP. We don't know if we need to do a second RFP for engineering or if the state is going to take the PER with the engineering in it. That is a state question because this is state money. The state gets to decide how we do it. This is just the signatory part. We just barely, before the packet could be approved, plus tonight was supposed to already have a presentation, got the PER back. It is 571 pages. It was all paid for also by the state. No village money was used for that one. I did not write this grant. This grant was done by Chuck Thomas with with the council's approval, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you want. And the PER will be made public as soon as I can figure out how we can put it on the internet. We couldn't even email. We tried emailing it,
Yeah.
kept kicking out of all your
I
stuff.
believe we should be able to put it on the website with a link, but it will not be able to be emailed because it's just too large.
Yeah. And the state, we looked at it, the state had 2 pages worth of things they were not happy with that had to be fixed and then returned.
So a little more history, and then we'll go to you.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone.
Nope, sorry, that was a Zoom user.
Okay, so there was the Clean Water State Revolving Fund typically will do grants and loans. So some of this is correct. There are some loans involved, but you don't have to borrow the money. And so I asked the people up there at NMED, Clean Water State Revolving Fund, Rhonda, whatever her name was. Anyway, so we could get the 75,000 for the PER. We would then get 2 million for an engineering design, and we would have available to us, if we wanted, a 1% interest. No, 0.05% interest. Yeah, hardly anything. $20 million loan. Now, I don't want to borrow money, as we've talked about, but we had a chance to get $2,075,000 to use to plan and design a system now 3 years ago. And it seemed to be a good deal to me, and you guys agreed at the time because you approved was it a resolution?
Ordinance.
Ordinance. And so now we're moving on to the next phase, which is to do the design, the engineering and design for a sewer line for the entire village, which we may need in 20 years. And we want to have it ready. We actually do need a loop right now that would allow us to bypass the step system if there are issues that occur on the step system, which happen not infrequently with broken valves, because whoever put the step system in used relatively cheap, I think, plastic valves. Steve could tell me more about that. But, that's become an issue. And so we need to do that so we can protect our workers. Any questions? Yes, sir, Councilor Murray. Miera.
Dennis Mayor, do we get to choose a contractor?
No. Yeah, I think that's got to go for an RFP. Because this started as federal money. So we got to follow a lot of federal laws. Even though it's state, but it began as federal money.
Okay.
If I may, Mayor, Councilors, and Administrator Curry, we did do an RFP for engineering and design, but because it is Clean Water State Revolving Fund money, you have to use their RFP. I have not even broached if they want us to go out because we don't have signatory authority yet. Once we go get a signatory authority, then I'm going to ask them, because you guys approved the contract with Stantec when we did the RFP. If they will be the ones that say, no, you need to use the original, or you need to go out to bid. The state controls all of that for us, and we have to follow their rules because it is federal pass-through money.
Yes, sir, Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is for the entire village. This be hook up to every house. Is that correct?
That's the plan.
That is the plan. Now, I'm trying to remember when so their first RFP for PER came in at $300,000, which was, we had 75. The state helped me look at that, what was required by the state and federal. We got it down to 83. We also were able to negotiate that the state paid for the rest of that 83, so we didn't have to pay for it as a village. So it's gonna work. If their money is too high to design for the whole village, private roads could be an issue. We will, the state will direct us on going back out to RFP if someone's way too high.
So the intent of this is to take the sewer and all the effluent and move it out to Albuquerque to the Water Utility Authority. Is that correct?
Correct. And part of that's coming from the 2020 Water Advisory Board plan that said, number 3 was the village needs to work hard to get every home possible on sewage because they're worried about our water table and our contamination to our water.
Does that mean that we would get water credits then for the effluent that's flying down south?
Well, we don't have water credits.
Well, but I mean, if you're gonna have a sewer, it seems like to me that, we're shipping our water out off
Okay,
the. out of
actually,
the
you're
village.
kind of getting a little bit beyond where we need to be right now.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just.
I mean, I can see where you're concerned about that,
Well,
but we
the point-
don't,
the point was
get
that
any water
what was
return flow
presented in
credits.
the packet was not very informative. I felt that, it had to be pulled out. We need to discuss it because $2 million is a lot of money for design. Now, if the design is good for maybe 5 years, that's fine. But if you're going to count on it being 20 years out, I'm going to say no, because that design is going to be worthless by 20 years because things are going to change. Who knows what the village is going to look like in 20 years anyway. I'm not arguing against it, but I'm just saying that if we design for now, that's fine. If we're planning on doing it within 5 years, that's fine. But if you're planning on waiting until 20 years, 30 years from now, that design's not going to be good. You'll have to update it.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, John. Allsbrook.
Thank you, Mayor. I just, I think that was a little bit of helpful history to shake off the cobwebs about where this all came from, starting 20 years ago. Are there assumptions in the engineering design that is specific conditions that would need to get met that would trigger, okay, Corrales, time for you to put a gravity sewer pipe down Corrales Road, or time for you to get one on Ranchitos or wherever it might be.
We probably should have started planning this 18 years ago. So by now, we would probably have a loop in the village, not a complete sewer line, not a sewer line for the entire village, but a loop that allows bypass and allows people who don't have a place to put a leach field or put in a new septic tank or whatever to at least access the sewer line. And we don't know yet, because I've only read a very brief summary of the PER. We don't know exactly how all this is going to happen, nor do we have a design or anything from another engineering group with regard to this system. But the good thing is, you and I have been through this before, and we know that there are some real traps. And so, yes, I think that we just need to approach this, and we need to, and as I've said, it's nice that we can get $2 million to help us out. If you recall, the first sewer line they were going to put, the quote, big pipe, we got 900,000, almost $1 million to do that. Well, that was to construct. And this is just to do the planning and design. So I think it's worthwhile doing to see what we get. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. So what worries me is that if we go down Corrales Road, what's the DOT position going to be? Are they going to rebuild the road for us?
I don't believe we're going to go down DOT. We're going to go probably down Loma Larga.
Well, I mean, you've got to have a pipe somewhere down Corrales Road or somewhere interconnecting.
We have a pipe.
Not for a sewer.
So you're asking the wrong person these questions. We have to ask the engineers who do the designs.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, if we have to go down Corrales Road, what is DOT's position? Are they going to rebuild the road for us?
So I don't believe we're going to go down to Corrales Road. If we find out that, then we'll ask that question.
I don't understand, because my road terminates into a cul-de-sac. I don't know where the pipe would go if you were to run it down my road and over to Loma Larga. I mean, you'd have to go through MRGCD property, if anything.
Well,
but anyway,
we'll see.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Councilor Mira.
Thank you for that design part. We can get the design. We don't have to necessarily accept all the ramifications that go along with that. What I mean by that is, do you know from a historical perspective on anything else that when they do put these in, that people have to hook up or they can choose not to? Because you made the mention, some people couldn't put in a new septic system and some people are okay with it. So
when we had to go through the step system, that's right out here.
Yeah.
We were told by NMED at that time, we had to mandate everyone who lived or worked on the road, any business or person who lived there had to hook up. And we said, no, that's not what we're going to do.
Perfect.
We said, if you have a vacant property and you build a house, then you hook up to the sewer line. If you have a commercial business, you hook up within a year. If you have a septic tank and leach field and it fails, you hook up to the system. And they accepted that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that's what our criteria will be this time. You know, I would hope that it would be left to the village. And when somebody needs it, we have it.
That was the question.
I would hope, as I said 16 years ago, that the village will find the funds to do everything but the hookup from the pipe to the home. I mean, we can't do that. That's an anti-donation thing, but that's my goal. That's the goal.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. So I need a motion to accept the signatory authority for CW Clean Water State Revolving Fund 155, Resolution 2515. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
No.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Stuart, we'll still figure out a way to hook up your house.
Well, I mean, council made the decision, so I'm not,
Anthony actually is very accustomed to going under the ditch.
yeah. So are a bunch of coyotes and things too.
Can I
Yes,
ask
sir.
one quick question? So on this one, there was a vagity of information on this and I mean, even looking up the acronym and 155 doesn't pull up a ton of information. So in the future, if we could just put some verbiage in there to clarify for people what
Yeah,
we're discussing, I think that would be.
We were approaching 3 pages on our agenda, so
Yep.
some decisions had to be made there. But yes, I will work on that in the future.
Okay. Yep, thanks.
Okay, so now we're going to move into closed executive session once again. I'm sorry. I need a motion to go into closed executive session to deal with purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights by
So
the
moved.
public body.
So moved.
We have a motion to move into executive session
Second.
and a second.
Sure. I have to stay.
What?
This
Vote.
session.
Oh, yes. Melanie, you're going to stay.
Okay.
We got to vote.
Oh, we need a vote, Mayor.
Yeah.
Mayor, we need a vote, please, on that motion.
Yes.
We
Yes.
did.
Okay.
No,
We haven't.
you just got the motion.
No, we got a motion.
Stewart voted against it.
No, that was the resolution for the sewer thing. I need a,
We had already done the 7.
For executive
Yeah.
session.
for the closed session.
This is the
Oh,
closed session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Counselor Miera, how do you
Yes,
vote?
sir.
Counselor Woolman. Gosh, don't-
Aye.
Counselor, thank you. Counselor Alsobrook, Counselor Burkett,
Aye.
Counselor Murray.
Yes, he's right.
I'm telling you, this is a long agenda, guys.
All right, and the meeting recording will be paused.
Come back.
There's no water. With the rights of no water. I mean, here we
You
are
got
talking
vote-
about the
you got
bird
vote
waters,
on water rights.
agriculture.
Okay, so we need a motion to
So-
come out
so
of
you
closed
go into
session.
ground, you don't-
Move that we come into out of closed session.
Okay, Counselor Murray has moved that we come out. Counselor Knight has seconded.
Okay, did he cite the reference?
No, he has not cited the reference yet.
Okay, so we have a motion to come out of closed session and a second citing NMSA 1978, section 10-15-1 H8.
But we're talking
No
water.
votes were taken and no decisions were made
That only would
during this period of time.
fine for the village of Corrales.
How do you vote, Counselor Murray?
Yes.
Counselor Alsobrook?
Yes.
Counselor Knight?
Yes.
Counselor Woolman?
Yes.
Counselor Miera?
Yes, sir.
And the other guy's gone.
Counselor Burkett did say his vote was yes to come
Okay,
out of closed
okay,
session.
so Counselor Burkett is a yes.
Proxies.
I'm voting by proxy for Counselor Burkett.
Okay.
No, he just voted. I heard him. Just yelled in. Yeah.
I love it.
Where are we?
Recalcitrant.
All right.
Yes.
I was going to say something, but I let it go.
No, I'm not.
Something, hang in.
I know. I mean, I'm sorry. We need it.
Okay, we're back in session. We're moving on now to new business. Consideration action approval of ordinance 25-01 municipal lot size. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion to approve from Counselor Murray and a second from Counselor Alsobrook. Any discussion? Counselor Miera, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
Counselor Knight?
Aye.
Counselor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Counselor Burkett?
Aye.
And Counselor Murray?
Yes.
Okay. Consideration action approval of joint powers agreement between the County of Sandoval, Village of Corrales, Town of Bernalillo, and Pueblo Santa Ana. This is the E911, used to be the SCREC. Now it's called the PSEC. And
Much better.
it's pretty much the same thing as to provide emergency services throughout our jurisdiction. I need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
I'm sorry, who motioned, who's first? Woolman, and second was Burkett?
Yep.
Okay, any discussion, any questions? Yes, sir.
So in the JPA, it talked about the members having budget authority. I'm not sure how that works because is the council going to allocate budget authority to the member?
An individual from the council, and they listed those people in the JPA, will sit on a committee, a board, a commission. What do they call it? They've got 2 of them.
Yeah.
Sir?
Governing commission.
Governing commission. And they will do the budget. And then the And that's, it'll be set up that way. And then they'll bring that budget back to each individual municipality for approval.
Oh, okay, because I was under the impression they just said that it sounded like they gave budget authority to the member on the governing board. I don't know, maybe I misread.
Well, you'll have to approve.
Well, I understand. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have come back to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is tried to cover, and you did work on some of that. Yeah, this is an attempt to cover all the problems that existed with the previous SCREC JPA that resulted in Rio Rancho divorcing all the other members. And they've even defined a breakup in here so that it's like a prenup agreement, you know?
Okay.
So,
Mayor,
yes, sir.
can I ask Chief Martinez if he's comfortable with all the provisions?
Chief, would you like to speak for a second?
His mouthful. Yeah.
I'll hold your pretzels while you talk if you want.
Spit it out.
I waited for the appropriate time. That's the question.
Mayor, council, I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, the question is basically, are you comfortable with all the provisions in the JPA?
Mayor, council, absolutely. We worked, the mayor and I and council, we reviewed it. We gave back our comments. I believe we were the only municipality that was going back and forth, making sure that, this document would fit our needs and your needs for, future collaboration with the new dispatch center.
Good.
And as the mayor stated, we had in-depth conversations of things of the existing JPA that we currently have and things that we would like to amend and add for the future that we think would be a better addition to it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Councilor Murray.
Thank you. So, Chief, if I read this right, and sometimes I don't, our amount is 7%. Is that 7% of the budget that is proposed in, or is that based on the number of calls that come in based on the municipality that may involve?
Mayor, council, I'll do my best to answer that question. Right now, that number is just locked in. We are in the process as if this gets approved and all the entities approved and we have a working document, that's gonna be part of the governance group to reevaluate that as far as how the contribution will be divided. So we've looked at numbers or minutes of service. We've looked at, call volumes. We're trying to streamline that to make sure it's fair to all entities. Because, for example, one entity might talk a little bit more on the radio than the other because they may not have computers to get information. So it's not fair for that entity to be, paying on minutes, as far as a percentage. So that's definitely one thing that is going to be focused on as far as, I think that's probably going to be one of the first things, or at least I hope would be the first thing to try to streamline and address for the future budget.
And then will all the municipalities be on the same communications level, same channels, same equipment, so that there's no issue between municipalities or anything?
Yeah, so Mayor, Councilor, right now it's we're gonna have the new dispatch center. We'll have 2 PSAPs in Sandoval County, which is good. We'll have redundancy. So you'll have the city of Rio Rancho, then you'll have the new Sandoval County. They are looking at the best way is what channels are going to be for law enforcement. So you'll have everyone that's in this JPA will have access to that dispatch center, and law enforcement will be on a certain frequency. I don't know if they're going to have 2 law enforcement channels or 1 law enforcement channel. We're leaving that up to the director and the staff to determine what's the best service for the law enforcement. Fire department, I know we're going to be on 1 channel. So it'd be Corrales and Sandoval County and probably Cuba and Coach D. But we have built in tactical channels that we could take that operation off for, if we're busy. So there's a lot of thought. We're super excited about moving into this new center. We got some new tools that are being incorporated into this new center that weren't available for us at the existing center. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief.
Just
Oh,
one quick
sorry,
question.
Bill.
And will this new center be on land at Santa Ana? Where's the?
The new center is on Sandoval County property. It's over by their administration. It's their old emergency operations center that the county put money into to refurb and make it a dispatch center. Yep. And it's also expandable. So, once we move in and the dust kind of settles, and then we're gonna reevaluate. And then that's gonna be up for if this gets approved, for the governance committee and the operations committee to see, put together 5-year plan, 10-year plans and start, running a dispatch center.
So each participant has to vote on this as we're voting tonight. Has anyone else voted on this as yet?
No, I think we're the first to get it on our council agenda, the way everything lines up, I believe.
And is there a time frame when you hope to wrap all the voting up and you can move forward?
As soon as possible, because once we get an executed a document, a JPA, we are required to send it up to DFA for review.
Good, thank you.
You want anybody else?
Nope. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Anthony has done a fantastic job. Yes, let me tell you. Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we've discussed it. So how do you vote, Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Alsabrook?
Aye.
Councilor Knight? Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we'll move on to the consideration action approval of resolution 2516, adopting the comprehensive plan for the village of Corrales. There was a correction that we wanted to make on the resolution, because we had an issue with the printer. Melanie, is that what we decided?
Well, every time I would hit save, apparently it was not saving to my Word document. So,
We had a draft form that kept coming back?
yes.
So there were two places, and I'll direct your attention to the first one is comprehensive. It's number 1 under now therefore be it resolved. Comprehensive plan attached to and made a part of this resolution is adopted as the Village of Corrales comprehensive plan and shall provide a reference for the local community planning process and associated development plans and programs for the Village of Corrales. And then under number 2, the comprehensive plan shall provide a source for land use and other development decisions, and maybe a source for more detailed ordinances, regulations, standards, and procedures. Those are the 2 changes we'd like to make.
And there is a copy of the amended version in your stack of papers right there before you. So it's just changing the 2 words.
This one. So can I get a motion for the comprehensive plan?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion.
Motion to do what?
To approve the resolution
Thank you.
adopting a comprehensive plan.
I missed the word approved. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I may have cut a corner there. I'm getting a little tired.
I am too.
Yeah.
Stuart?
Thank you, Mayor. So I'd like to amend the comprehensive plan. Move to amend recommendation 3-13 and to strike the words "and transferable development rights throughout the village."
Second.
Okay, any other comments?
I have one brief comment, and
Councilor Burkett?
I'm not against this, but it was specifically listed in the 2009 comprehensive plan, the exact verbiage. And in the 88 comprehensive plan, they listed administrative mechanisms to allow for cluster housing. So this isn't a new concept. I don't think we need to have the words in there, but it's not something that came out of nowhere either.
Well, I understand that, Councilor Burkett, but I think as a plan, transferable development rights only benefit a few. It's not for the entire village. It just benefits of only a few for lands that are not been developed. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I'll give you a nickel.
Okay, thank you.
So anybody else? Okay, so you want to vote?
On the amendment.
Vote on the amendment to strike the
Yes.
verbiage in section, recommendation 3-1.3
Yes.
to remove the words transferable development rates.
Yes. Okay, so we did have a motion and we did have a second.
Correct.
Thank you.
I do. Turns out I do have.
Yes, sir. Councilor Alsabrook.
Is the amendment as just described was to strike the words transferable development rights? Does that retain the phrase, the development of cluster housing?
Yes, I think it does because I'm just removing that little section that refers to the transferable development.
You
rights.
just want to take TDR.
Just wanted the clarity.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So how do you vote on that, Stuart?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Burkett, Counselor Alsobrook,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Woolman,
Aye.
and Counselor Muir.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Counselor Alsobrook.
I'd like to offer an amendment to remove recommendation 2-4.2, which concerns, it's an if statement. If the arts and cultural district plan is adopted, its goals should be aligned. Well, that's just written history now, so there's no need for this.
So you just want to take out the whole paragraph?
Yes.
You have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, any other discussion about that amendment?
Hang on, I'm still scrolling to that section. Sorry.
There you go.
2-4.2.
Was it? It's on the recommendations. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's page,
Two.
what page is it?
He said it was two.
Page 53.
4.2.
Paid for it.
Can I read that?
Mr. Mayor, would you give us the number again?
Yeah.
2-4.2.
Okay.
It was 2.4.
Starts out, village can consider the work Carouse Ministry undertaken to create an arts and cultural district. The plan is adopted by the governing body. Its goals should be aligned and not contradict those of this comprehensive plan. Isn't that correct, John?
Yes, that's correct.
You read that.
So you want to cut this wording?
That's correct.
Reading isn't a
That was a
problem.
proposed amendment. yeah.
Remembering all that shit.
Because that really assumes we're
So
gonna.
I guess, so I mean, so can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, you may.
So, assuming that this one will only lasts us 10 years, not 16 like the previous one, if ACD does come back up at some point in 10 to 16 years, would you not like to have the verbiage in here that it aligns with the comprehensive plan?
Counselor Murray?
I think it's, I'm not going to argue with that, but I think what happens is I think they can come back with ACD anytime they want.
You're saying that this encourages that?
No, it doesn't encourage, but the Main Street can come back with the Arts and Cultural District plan anytime they want. This is a plan.
Right.
As the mayor says.
Right.
God.
Okay. So I guess then my question is the same then. What is the harm of saying that it should align with the comprehensive plan?
There really isn't any harm as I see it, but it's not necessary.
Right. No, I don't disagree with that point either.
Okay. Anybody else have a comment? Counselor Muir, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
This is on the amendment now.
Yes, on the amendment.
Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
Counselor Knight? Yes,
I
ma'am.
just need to revisit. So we're voting to delete that?
Delete recommendation 2-4.2.
Okay, no.
Counselor Alsobrook?
Yes.
Counselor Burkett?
No.
Counselor Murray?
Yeah, me. Yes.
Yeah,
It's late.
you're a blur over there. Okay, so it passes.
Oh.
The motion passes to delete. Okay, anything else? Counselor Alsobrook?
I just want to,
25%.
take the opportunity to, turn recommendation 1-3.2 into bold italicized with stars and underlines and everything else possible, that recommends we consider changing the zoning laws so that lot coverage is restricted to 25%.
Give me the number again.
1-3.2. I'm saying it's a good thing. I want to keep it in. This is not a change or an amendment. I'm just thanking,
Just add an
I'm
exclamation
thanking the
mark.
committee.
Oh, okay, well, you can leave it in there.
I'm thanking the committee for having that.
Counselor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to add an amendment to 3-4.1 on page 56. It is, it has to do with supporting diverse architectural. I'd like to add the words at the very end, except in the Corrales Road commercial area.
Yeah.
So the Corrales, Lori, help me out. What is our commercial corridor?
Meadowlark to Wagner's.
No, but what do we call it? Commercial, neighborhood commercial. Thank you.
No, that's
It's a little too
far
late.
Northwest Center. That's the NCOD.
Yeah, we're not talking about
This
in-car.
is
We're talking about right out
CRCA,
here.
Which is the Corrales Road Commercial Area. In other words, the district from Wagner to Medlar. Yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to say Corrales Road Commercial Area.
Well, unless we adopt the mixed use wordage, but yeah.
But right now, our ordinances call it the neighborhood commercial area.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
NCOD was far northwest sector. CRCA was the east
His
corridor.
recommendation is 3-4-1, change it to, at the end, put except in Corrales commercial area.
What happened to that 1.3?
Oh, that, he was just,
Oh, that was me
snoring. He was
thanking
just making a big deal of
You
that.
just
Yeah.
make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, he wasn't making a motion.
He wants to
Trying
put
to
it,
make sure, because we ran them right after one.
Sorry,
yeah, he wanted to put it in bold.
I had a soapbox. so-
However, we do need a second on Counselor Murray's motion to amend 3-4.1.
Okay.
You want, who wants to second Council Murray's motion?
Where did I?
That's dead.
Okay.
Okay, what next?
At what point do you want to do public comment, Mayor?
Well, I want to let them finish.
Okay.
Okay, design standards. Can you help me out here?
Yeah.
Since I don't have a hard copy.
Yeah.
Where does it talk about a planner for P and Z?
So it doesn't anymore. That was at the recommendation of our attorneys. All of that verbiage was changed to a system of planning. And the reason for that is, and Ken, I might need your help on this. There's a something in the state statute that says we cannot commit a future governing body to spend money. And so if we have this in saying that you will hire a planner, it is effectively saying you're committing yourselves to spending money down the road. However, if we leave it in there as a system of planning, that leaves it open to, if you want to suggest, we do take a look at that position. The council can bring that forward and say, you know, just like we did with Public Works with the receptionist position and the heavy equipment operator, and the positions at Parks and Rec. Council can decide to create a new position, but that doesn't necessarily need to be in the comprehensive plan itself. That's covered under the way that the attorneys rewrote that section.
Council Burkett.
Yeah, so I don't believe that this document commits us to anything. I think it guides us towards a lot of things. I mean, if you look at the 1988 plan, it said we were going to have a designated dirt bike area, which we do not, at least not that I'm aware of. So we were not committed to that. I don't think we would be committed to this. I have no problems suggesting we have a person. I also have no problem suggesting we have a plan, but I don't think there's anything in here that's in any way commitment for future councils.
That was just what the concerns of our attorneys were.
Mr. Mayor, we have two rolling amendments or still one?
I think we voted on
So
the last
the
amendment. We
last
have no
amendment-
Amendment right now. She asked a question about a planner.
No, I
Yeah.
was just checking.
No, the motion made by Counselor Murray died because it did not get a second.
Went down in a drought.
That's right. You still have to pay full property tax, so.
Okay, well, you want to take some public comment? Maybe it'll kind of, tickle your brains. Okay, Melanie?
Okay, first up with the public comment, Ricardo Blanco. Ricardo, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have
Did you get-
3 minutes.
Ricardo Blanco from Corrales Road.
Really well written.
I'm here to gain your support to produce the best comprehensive plan considerations possible for the descendants of the oldest, mostly Hispanic families of Corrales. A group that's gone from 80% of the population at incorporation of the village to 20%, a figure out of proportion with the statewide 48.6% Hispanic population. No one I went to school with lives in Corrales anymore. Similar, many of the descendants, elders will tell you that their children no longer live here. I greatly appreciate the service and dedication of the comp plan committee, who deserves, besides our gratitude, some sort of a cat herding merit badge. I value the community input methodology and historically driven vision and path, and the acknowledgement and inclusion of some descendants' suggestions in the latest comp plan version. However, some small alterations to language and a less reluctant to address issues and groups specifically would strengthen the document. I cannot stress enough the importance of reviewing existing ordinances for systemic blatant discrimination and those not so obvious systemic disparate impacts on descendants with explorations of alternatives and variance paths for those oldest families. Perhaps these considerations may make the difference between a chance and fate for many. Undeniably, an amendment to include an additional individual descendant value to the comp plan with challenges and goals is warranted and essential for the preservation of Corrales, its people, and its tradition. A value that includes further input from the descendants in the drafting, as well as descendant participation in establishing criteria for defining the descendants of the oldest families of Corrales and proposing guardrails, rules, limits, carrying capacities, considerations, and minimizing the slope by adding paths to those perceived slippery slopes we come across. Furthermore, insisting that those descendant families be considered at all stages of planning by requiring cultural impact studies and employing the best tools, methods, and information available for planning through a convivencia planning department. Lastly, that the descendants be of those that established Corrales and its traditions no longer be the stakeholders ignored or not considered at all. Like the trees that would have been best planted 20 years ago, the second best time to plant it, to acknowledge and address issues impacting descendants' families is now. Our let's not talk about race, ethnicity, or basic demographics, and our let's not rock the boat, let's be neutral, tricultural harmony myth mentality has gotten us to this current state. Maybe we need to take off our rose-colored glasses for a little while, or maybe just get rid of them and realize that while they show all the beauty, they hide all the truth. Please amend the comprehensive plan so that it establishes a separate descendant value and reviews descendant-related topics or language. Thank you.
Up next is Ken Martinez. Ken, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Ken Martinez and I live at 401 Chimaha Road. Mayor, councilors, the descendants and Hispanic family members that have lived here for centuries have really become invisible in village government and in decision-making positions, and therefore not feeling a part of the village that they helped found and currently sustain. Their histories and contributions have been obscured and have been displaced for many reasons. I agree with recommendations that my colleague Ricardo Blanco made just a moment ago. Next month, we are convening descendant and other Hispanic families to celebrate and to listen to what they have to say. We hope to continue in that gathering and in future ones and in everything we do, an atmosphere where we foster resilience, help maintain a strong voice and a visible presence and role in our community. In summary, it's time to hear descendant and Hispanic family voices that in recent decades have not been included or heard. We support the comprehensive plan and we appreciate the work of the Comprehensive Plan Committee. Thank you.
Up next is Doug Castile. Doug, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
I'm Doug Castile, Chaparral Lane. Counselor, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Curry. Valiant councilmen and councilwomen. Thank you for your hard work. I don't know if it's a moot point at this point, but I wanted to talk about TDRs. It sounds innocuous, but having been a commercial real estate broker at one point in my life and worked with developers, I see some real heinous aspects to it. Basically, by allowing it, you let brokers and developers get their foothold in our village, which is done fine with their policy of having one house per lot, vis-a-vis 1 acre or 2 to 3 acres. And that policy has worked well. And I personally think it should be maintained and retained in a sacrosanct manner. We need it. Projection for Corrales vote, growth will not exceed what we're doing now, what the projections say the next 10 years will be. So we're not going to be overwhelmed with, new houses and people like that. We need to keep Corrales and our ratio of people as it is now. We do not ever need to put new development where we get multifamily issues. TDRs could result in horrible things where you could get a house, 4 houses on an acre. It's not what we're about. That's not what we want. It changes the voting demographic of our village. It changes the character of our village. So once again, my commendments. Thank you for doing a good job. Appreciate it.
Kurt Flora. Kurt, if you'll come to the address or to the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes.
42 seconds. Kurt Flora, 28 Huck Road. Well, when you all started talking about the comprehensive plan and stuff and the joint partnership with the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy, and you turned all that all over to the village, got, involved with the conservancy and all that. And there was no talk about moving this, doing any of these trails and stuff past Huck Road. But now the village has taken it in their their hands to grade all of Andrews Lane, where they haven't done it for 25 years I've lived here. But they now graded Andrews Lane probably 5 to 7 times in the last couple months. Wow. Making it a dirt throwaway now. Now it's like a racetrack going past our property. It's just a straight, where you used to have, we call them speed bumps, but they're potholes, which would slow the traffic down. They're not slowing down anymore. They're just getting faster and faster and faster past our property. Okay. And it's really getting to be an issue because they're speeding 40, 45 miles an hour down Andrews now, because it's just one straight thoroughfare now. Another thing I wanted to bring up is we have our property listed nationwide. In the last 2 weeks, and I brought this, put a police report in, that we've had 3 different tree companies come over to our house asking about cutting down trees on our property. We have a gentleman out in California that is asking these tree companies to come cut down trees. They don't even own the property, but we have these tree companies showing up at our house. Luckily, we've stopped 2 of them from cutting down one of the big cottonwoods right in front of the house. Okay, they were ready to cut the trees down on a request from some guy out of California. Now, we called the FBI and we reported it to the police here. I just hope it don't happen. I just want you guys to be aware of, put your property on the internet. We got people wanting to cut down trees that don't belong to them. They're telling these people, oh, we own the property, we bought the property. And I have this on recording. It's on recording because I had one of the tree guys call the guy, and he says, yes, I do own the property. I want you to cut this tree down. Okay. So it's an issue, and we have to be aware of it, because what if they have cut the trees down when we weren't there? 3 different companies came. So I want y'all to be aware of it.
Thank you.
Next is Teresa Lopez. Teresa, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Let's call it. Teresa Lopez, Rupert's Lane. I just would like to say how I feel about the comp plan. I think it's pretty good overall, but I also feel that the descendants and old families, which are also the stakeholders here in the village, need to be seen, heard, and considered more often. When things come up that will directly affect them, let them give you their thoughts and listen to what they're saying. I think I can, and I think I can ask a fair and honest questions to you guys. Who up here, all the way around, has actually talked or personally knows some of the descendants in older families. If you want to, call me, I'll take you to go visit them. And that way you will really get to know how they feel. And I think well, I'll quote you again. It says we're all neighbors. We need to act like neighbors and be respectful of everybody all the time, no matter what. And I feel like when I stand up here, I'm transparent, honest, and I try to be respectful. And I think there needs to be more town halls that bring everybody together to voice their own opinions, and that they can be heard by a lot more, that way it can be heard by a lot more people, no matter what side they're on. Also, the village needs to get a real planning and zoning department or planning department that is actually trained for the job that they're entrusted to do. First and foremost, they need to be transparent, honest, and respectful of all sides of all the issues they come across for all the people in this village. And I'm not for the TDR at all. Again, I say that will open a door that we may not be able to shut, and our village could become even more crowded. I know I wouldn't want more houses being built next to me on one lot. Don't accept it in the comp plan. And I was really in a hurry to do this today, so but one more thing. Martin Luther King. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. And this village matters to me a lot. And I hope it matters to all of you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Pat McClurden. Pat, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address. For the record, you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Pat McClendon, 2968 Corrales Road. I come tonight in support of the comprehensive plan. I have a few minor revisions, but I think really we need to commend all the committee members that spent numerous hours. I mean, we've not had a project like this in the village since I've been here that has consumed as much of their time, plus engaged as many citizens. So I think it's really been successful. I did want to add that I supported Ricardo, Ken, and Teresa's thesis on descendant families. I think that that's a very complicated issue. We have a couple of goals that actually address it, but no recommendations. I think that perhaps we need to address that further and even support of an elevated planning process, and particularly even though we can't commit to a future planner, we need to dedicate planning in this village. Our current P&Z lacks any planning function, and never has a department been more deceptively titled. Planning is dismissed and delayed, and it leads to many problems that I see in the village. Working with Amy's group on the village-owned properties. Now we, with that technical service from New Mexico Main Street, village-owned properties are only now defining public engagement and not uses. We're slowly getting there, but it's a painful, delayed process. Some of the problems that I note from those delays, the bank property, the Gonzalez property, and the Anderson property all had zone changes to an M zoning category. Our land use section 1838B allows only a grower's market on M properties without an approved site development plan. Currently, we have municipal parking on it, which is not an approved use without a site development plan. The administrative center outside this chamber has a site development plan, but again, section 1845B8 says that a site development plan will automatically expire 24 months after commission approval if development is not complete. That approval was given on 12/14/22, which means it expired last December. We have no village properties other than Anthony's property that actually have approved site development plans. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Fred Hashimoto. Fred, you've already given your address, so you'll have 3 minutes.
Fred Hashimoto, 485 East Monstrada. I'd like to thank the council, the mayor, administrator, attorney, and people who have worked so hard on the comp plan, the P and Z group. I support it. I think they've done a really nice job. I'm very thankful that you deleted TDRs from the comp plan. I think it had no place. It would have clobbered the one dwelling per lot, golden rule of Corrales, for which we all live here for. And I'm very thankful for that. We hear about being good neighbors. I totally agree. And I'm glad that next door to me doesn't have 3 more neighbors all of a sudden from a TDR process. Anyway, thank you very much for your job with the comp plan. Thank you very much for serving the village. Bye-bye.
Okay, and our last speaker on this topic tonight is Salome Ward. Salome, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, Salome Ward, 204 East Meadowlark Lane. I thought we were gonna talk first, or give our opinions first, because you already did what I was gonna ask, and that was to remove the TDRs. So I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the comp plan group, because they've given a shining example of community involvement and treating people with respect and really listening. So I just want to say thank you for that. And I also would like to add my voice to the others, saying something that was discussed also during one of the past meetings. It would be important to have a real planner. And I understand it's not an obligation to have to spend the money, but if there could be some kind of verbiage, it really seems to be having experts that can really look at all the information, all the data, do the necessary analysis and come up with a plan seems like a really important thing, because we're going through lots of changes, lots of things are happening. And I think that would be a good positive change. So that's it. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
That's everyone, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So we can amend this comp plan anytime we want. If we were to develop some language or verbiage for the descendants, we could come back with an amendment to the comp plan.
I would think you could. It's a living document, as I've been told.
Okay. Would that extend our timeline if we waited a year?
No, let's vote on it.
It's a planning document itself, you know, and it's designed to let you plan for the future, you know, and set certain goals, and certain recommendations have been made by the people who came and talked.
Well, I think it's important that maybe, you know, I've been listening to people talk about descendants. We need to come up with some verbiage. I don't have good verbiage to add tonight, but maybe we need to work on that and then maybe insert it into the comp plan in another meeting or two. And maybe in January or somewhere, you know, not like January, but
I
anyway.
don't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm sorry, what?
14th Amendment.
We can't do it because of the 14th Amendment? Help me here.
Yeah. The reason that the attorneys took out those provisions was not lack of appreciation.
Okay.
Am I on?
No, I just realized what you were talking about now.
Which of course, everybody owes all the people who founded and made Corrales what it is, a debt of gratitude. But the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibits any state or local government from denying to any person equal protection of the laws. You cannot treat people differently because of where they're from. You can't, whether it was one of the Civil War amendments, and it was aimed at the abuses that were going on in the South, even after the end of slavery.
So that would, even though that would just, it's a plan, just that we recognize that the descendants are there. We just can't include that.
Oh, no, recognition, I think, is great.
I think that's in here, isn't it?
You can't give them
Well, I mean,
a special.
I don't think
rights.
there's anything specific. I think it's just maintaining the history and
No, I think those are all good things. And I believe I saw that in here.
okay.
Yeah, no, acknowledgement it is important, I think.
Okay.
I agree with that. It's just creating special rights for a group of people is some constitution.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just
Councilwoman.
thought, I'm just wondering, is there a way that we can sometime in the near future, not a work study, but have a discussion about how we can have a very positive impact, how the descendant families can feel a part of the community and have an open discussion about that. I don't know what that forum would look like. Was it a town hall meeting or something like that?
Figure it
I don't know
out.
if we put it on the agenda or.
Well, it'd have to be, we
Agenda item.
don't put it on the agenda, but, we could have a special meeting, yeah. And have an agenda in that regard, but, or we could do it during a regular meeting as an agenda item.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy.
How do you vote,
to help.
Councilor Mears?
We have the motion and a second?
Yes.
Yes, we
We do.
do.
Okay,
Yes,
yes, sir.
Because
Yes,
Counselor
sir.
Burkett made the motion. Counselor Knight seconded to approve the comprehensive plan resolution.
thank you. It is dragged out a while.
Okay. As amended, yes.
Councilwoman,
Yes, with pleasure.
Councilor Knight,
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook,
Absolutely.
Councilor Burkett,
Yes.
Councilor Murray.
You betcha.
Okay.
Hi.
Oh, yes, Chris Allen wanted to speak after this was over.
Thank you, Chris Allen, Chair of the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee. On behalf of the committee, I would like to thank all of you on the governing body, members of the administration who worked so hard to give us background material when we needed it, gave it to us in a timely manner. And especially I want to thank all of the citizens who participated both in the survey and in all of the meetings we had. And I will remind you, we did have a meeting with the descendant family, so that's certainly possible to do. It was arranged by the Corrales Historical Society. And I would encourage you to do that, to have a town hall meeting and hear directly from them. You heard it through us, but hear directly from them. The last point I would like to make is I would like some kind of motion to dissolve our committee because we really want to have a party. And I intend to cut loose at that party. And we intend to thank our families and our spouses for all the time they've put up with us being gone at meetings. And I don't want to have to post that as a public meeting. So
Right.
please dissolve us. Thank you.
Are you over 21?
Yes,
Okay.
Clearly, this weekend.
Yeah.
by a considerable amount.
So the original resolution, their committee was going to dissolve in February of 2024.
They get parties.
So I would entertain a motion. I don't think we need to have an agenda item for this to dissolve their committee.
I move we dissolve the comprehensive plan committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Begrudgingly aye.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
great
Hey,
thanks.
yeah.
Free.
Right. Thank you guys very much.
Last.
Okay, next thing.
Invited?
Yeah, I hope so.
Mr. Mayor? Yes, sir.
From here. Little did they know it's. We still have.
You gonna go?
I'll go warm up.
Listening in on the radio.
Look up,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna move on to the ICIP for ranking. What did we
Yes.
decide we would do on that?
So council, basically the list that was provided in your packet will be turned into a Survey Monkey questionnaire like we did last year. I will not be able to get it out to you until next week, but then I will present the results for you at the next meeting on the 27th. And then that way you can see the final ranked, and then we'll have a discussion on those rankings. If you want to move stuff around, we can certainly do that. But
And
that's really the only thing
And
on
we have
this.
to vote then because it has to go to DFA?
We have to have a resolution approving the list no later than the meeting of June 24th. So we do still have a couple of
still have time?
meetings. Yeah, we do still have a couple of meetings.
Okay.
All 41 of these will be on the Survey Monkey?
It won't be 41 because if you notice, there's a couple that have been crossed out because they've been funded.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's a little hard to see on there.
Add some on there.
Well,
Say
what,
again?
what would you like to
Yeah.
add,
What do
Counselor
you want
Knight?
to add?
I want a site plan for the Anderson property.
I do think Anderson Property Improvements is already on there, but I
Should
could be
be.
wrong. So we could, but we could,
Yep.
we could amend that line item to specify site plan for improvements to
25.
Anderson property.
Yeah, part of the, yeah, and that's, well, yes, that's on there.
But I'd be happy to make that change.
I do.
Just pavement for Perea Road.
Are there any other requests?
Sorry,
for
was that
addition-
pavement for Perea Road?
Paving Perea Road.
Yeah, paving.
We can put them on the list, but we
Yeah.
can't, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're on
Yes, sir,
the-
Councilman
Doesn't hurt
Murray.
anything.
All right, so I got a question about number 40 and 41. Why are we putting this equipment on the ICIP when it probably ought to just be in the budget to buy? Because this stuff depreciates like crazy, and I can't see using capital equipment or capital funds to go purchase this when it's something we ought to just throw in the budget and let them go buy it because they need it now. They don't need to wait till 10 years from now.
Really, the only reason we put those on there is if there's a grant opportunity pops up. Anytime we are filling out a grant form, it asks you, is this purchase on a plan somewhere?
Yeah.
And this is the plan.
Yeah. Why does everything have to be bought through grants? We just
It
put
doesn't.
It just
doesn't.
means, I mean, the 42,000 to me is a budget item. The 72,000, well, you can go either way on that, but again, it should be a budget item because if they need the equipment now, we don't need to wait 10 years for a grant to come up.
I'm sorry, what?
So that's my only,
CIP doesn't still, you still can buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can
just,
still buy it.
yeah,
Not
we
a
can still
problem.
buy it even if it's on the list. It's
But
just,
all that adds up and we want to have the money, we don't want to, we want to have money to spend for other things sometimes. And, you know,
I
you do
understand.
42 here and 72 there, it adds up.
yeah, I know that, but I mean, if the public works need a road, if they need a crack sealer to fix the roads, let's buy the damn thing and get it out there.
you could bring up that in our next agenda item for the
Yes, I
budget.
am one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe I
put that
will.
number one.
Maybe I will.
Okay,
So you could vote that as at the bottom and then when it comes
Well,
up for the
whatever.
next meeting, we could take it off
I
if you
just
wanted.
wondered why it was there
Yeah.
anyway.
It's there because I sent out a email to all the department heads saying, what do you want added to your to the ICIP? And that's what I got back.
Okay.
okay. Moving on. Last thing. Discussion of preliminary budget. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss, add, delete? Ron, did you want to talk first or?
I just wanted to remind the council of a few items that we talked about. If you wanted to look at this budget, as I mentioned the other day, from 30,000 feet, it is really developed like most things that we do in this village and most municipalities do. This is directed at public health and public safety. And also in this budget, we pay special attention to retention of our employees. We are in a competitive marketplace here in Corrales, as you all know, lying between two large metropolitan areas. We are competing with firefighters, we're competing with police officers, we're competing across the board with all of our employees. So it has been the effort of this administration to try to continue to add benefits to our employees so that they will either be retained or we can recruit others easier. And to that point, one of the things that you find in the budget is an increase in the benefits of PERA. And you'll also find a 3% cost of living increase for the employees. The increase in the PERA was explained at the budget meeting. But one of the things that as we go forward in there, it's approximately $254,000 recurring figure that will occur every year to get to the goals that we want to get to. So that number, if you approve it, will go into the budget, but we unlikely will have those benefits approved until I would say maybe at the end of the first quarter of next fiscal year. because it has to go through a process where the employees have to vote and a majority to get these benefits, and then it has to be approved by the folks in Santa Fe. So that process will take a while, but we feel that it's going to be an increase to help, especially our first responders, retain and also recruit employees. So that's a highlight of the budget. We've got one of the interesting parts about this budget is if you look at it, this is the first time, at least since I've been here, that we're asking for a budget that is less than the preceding year when we started out. Not much, and perhaps by the end of the year, we'll go over it. But we think our revenues will still be strong, but looking at the economic world that we all live in, even though that we are a relatively small village, we think it's possible to do our job here for the citizens of Corrales, for the residents of Corrales, but also be cautious as we approach this oncoming year. I don't have to talk to you all about the economy that we're operating in and the dangers that we're operating in and the uncertainties that we operate in. So it's a conservative budget with high hopes. We have now 61 employees here in the village, as opposed, that's an increase of, in the last 2 years, that's an increase of about 14 employees. And on a smaller item that I think is important for you to know, we also compete for lifeguards. And one of the things that you'll see in this budget is an increase in the lifeguard pay so that we can compete with Rio Rancho and Albuquerque. We keep our pool open for a relatively short period of time because our lifeguards usually go back to school, either college or high school. So that's in the budget as well. We've added another 50,000, I believe is the number for some of the projects for animal services. We've also added some projects for some signage that Councilor Murray talked about. All that being said, our employees that we pay, including benefits and salaries, are equivalent to about 65% of our overall budget. So that brings us back to the beginning of what I was saying, is that we want to retain these employees. We want to be able to recruit more vigorously by offering better retirement benefits for those who are with us. And again, that cost is going to be recurring at $254,000 approximately a year. So I think that I'm pleased with the direction we're going. I feel confident that our revenues are going to be able to fill this budget based upon what we've seen in the past. We'll be in this budget with our 12% reserve that we're required to have. And I would just now ask you, if you've got any questions, I'll ask Jolene to come to the podium. And if there's anything that you want to ask her based upon what we talked about in our workshop the other day and requirements going forward so that we can get this finalized at the meeting on the 27th. So Jolene, you want to come up and Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
That was just fantastic. Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've noticed that this budget that Tanya sent out has a lot of funds that were not mentioned at our preliminary. And it looks like a lot of them are state grants, which I don't have a problem with. It just kind of seemed like it snuck up on me because I saw these additional funds. And so with Fund 314, tell me again why we've got a state grant for 50,000 for wastewater. What are we planning on using that for?
So that was a legislative, is this the one that's a legislative grant? That's the
I think
MBR?
I think it's the money for the MBR.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So it was not high up on the list. But it happened to be about 50 grand because we thought we could use some money to do a feasibility study, PER, as to whether or not a small MBR could be placed at Public Works to take the step system water, treat it, clean it up, and use that in the village to water your gravel, water your dirt roads, water your soccer field. You know, it was was a plan, and it's still a plan that's kind of in progress, but we don't have we don't have a preliminary engineering report yet.
Okay. So my other comment is that throughout this budget, a lot of line items I see have professional services, and I have no idea what professional services means. So if we can get a subcategory that maybe explains that a little bit, because I mean, there's a lot of professional services in all the departments and all these funds, and yet I have no idea where that money goes.
Well, we agree with you. Jolene?
Yes, sir. Mayor, Administrator Curry, Councilman. I did write down what professional services meant. So it's include the services of architects, archaeologists, engineers, land surveyors, landscape architects, medical practitioners, scientists, certified public accountants, management and systems analysts, psychologists, planners, researchers, and persons or businesses. So that's what the state says it is.
Wow. And we use all those services.
Use quite a bit of them.
Do you have a breakdown of how much we're paying each of those service categories?
We can,
So I can get
we can
that for you,
probably get
yes.
that.
yeah, we can get that.
It's
for
going to be long. And I did start writing down some of the businesses that we do use, but it's a long list. I can get that for you.
You know, it just seems to me that like all the departments wouldn't be using the same services, you know, under that category. So
Well, it's different contractual services for different departments.
I
I mean,
understand it.
Public Works uses the
engineer,
the engineer.
yeah, but
He is,
then stipulate
and
that.
we use the attorney.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, that,
it needs to
you know,
be
you got-
stipulated within the department of where that money's going. If it's going for engineering services, let's list it as engineering services.
we can do
Yeah,
that.
just for example, some of the professional services, we have an accountant, we have asbestos abatement services, tax asbestos abatement services. Those are just a few examples.
Can I ask you what we pay an accountant in professional services versus what it would cost to have a staff accountant?
Yes, just one moment.
We have two accountants right now. We have Josh Trujillo, who does our accounting every year for our audit. And then we have Javier,
Machuca?
yeah, who is assisting us with some of our daily accounting that we've had on contract now for 2 years.
Point of
And he-
order, Mayor, I'm sorry, Ron.
Sorry,
go ahead.
It's a limited category of only two people, and if we're going to start talking about compensation,
Uh,
I'm not sure that's the right venue for it.
I mean, say one more thing. Say it again. I mean,
Just, we're talking about a limited number of village staff or consultants, and to discuss the salary or the expenditure of that group and in
That's a good
open
point.
session
yes.
may not be good personnel policy.
I think for a consultant it would, because that's a contract we have.
Okay, well,
The accountant does help with the audit.
certainly get you the information if it's,
Yeah.
you know, if you want it, we'll get it to you.
So the information that I have now is we don't go over 60,000 on our accountant. To hire someone to do that, it would cost us about 154,000 a year
Wrong business.
Includes, benefits.
with benefits. That includes benefits, of course.
for we go out to RFPs depending on the contract, we go out for RFP for our legal counsel. You just approved Randy's firm the other day. We also go out for RFP for our engineer. And the reason why we do that is because they're well in excess of 60,000 a year, each one of them.
And we're also required to go out for RFP on our audit services.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Counselor Willman?
Yes, Jolene, thanks for being here. It's a long day for you, I know. I had actually a conversation with Tanya earlier today about this, but I didn't see in the budget the replenishment of the 25,000 for animal services. And is that, I couldn't find that in the subcategories at the bottom or anywhere else.
Yes, sir. It's on well, my copy's blue, so I'm sorry about that. But it is replenished. It's the last column of that budget. So it will be replenished.
Okay, okay. so,
Yes.
I have one other thing I wanted to discuss at the budget meeting, if I could bring that up again. It has to do with the building for cats we discussed, and actually Tanya and I talked about this, revised that. There is an area where Animal Services is now where their office is. And next to that is an open area that they're using for cats. The idea is to take down the wall, make it into one larger area, put in a window. They have heating and cooling, new flooring, et cetera. I talked with Commissioner Brooke, and she's still considering funding that operation and not having a separate building, but renovating what we have in there now.
Which wall are you talking about?
There's the Animal Services area now has an area where they have storage, they're storing things, and then another area where they have cats, and there's a wall in between. If you take that wall down, it makes one larger area.
Those were the original kennel areas in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those
yeah.
two that have the outside doors.
Yes.
And there's a wall in between them. So if we took
Okay,
down that,
right.
opened up that wall and then made a little cat run area outside, there, it is feasible to turn that into a better facility for the cats.
And they
When
can
you
take,
said wall, I was thinking about that wall we had to build, the planning and.
no, this is inside the building,
Okay,
inside the building, and it's they're building a storage unit now, so whatever's being stored in that cat area can be moved into the new storage unit. So it'd be considerably less money, and I think not ideal, but adequate.
we'll look at it. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Thank you.
Anything else? Guys, I'm ready to call it an evening.
So we're up.
Bring on the scotch.
Right.
Oh, you should have been on planning and zoning.
Yeah, but you
Those are
chose
nice
to stay
meetings in
late.
my
I
life.
know you guys had to vote. Okay, we finished with the business session, so we're gonna adjourn the
Do we
meeting.
need to do announcements, future agenda?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
Sticking it to the
People
man.
can read.
That's
Let-
right.
Read it.
That's right.